This is the Gambling Gauchos.
Somebody turn on some damn music!
You're listening to the Gambling Gauchos. Talking Texas Tech, betting on the Big 12 and beyond. We've got everything you need, money lines, memes, and matadors.
Well, you want to quit, Ethan? That'll be the day.
Now, here's Kyle Jacobson and Rob Bro, the Moneyline Matadors, the Casino Cowboys, the Parlay Picadors.
You see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig. Win.
The Gambling Gauchos. Oh, and one more thing. It's all West Texas. It always has been.
Welcome into the Gambling Gauchos. I'm Rob Bro, he's Kyle Jacobson. About a minute and a half left in Creighton, Arkansas. So if we sound a little distracted here in the Cardinal Sports Center studio through the first, 5 minutes of the pod, that's why. Again, we are in the Cardinal Sports Center studio. If you want to visit Cardinals to gear up for college basketball season, or maybe a bowl travel, if you want to go to the bowl game when Texas Tech goes to the Alamo Bowl, you can go to mycardinalsports.com or visit them at Cardinals in Lubbock over by, 68th and Slide.
I'm not a master fisherman, but I know bait when I see it.
Yeah?
And I'm not going to take it.
Okay. I feel like we've already discussed that ad nauseum anyways. Do you like the paint area in the Maui Invitational Court?
No.
Why do they do that?
This whole tournament is a little bit... I love that you get great competition early in the season, but playing on that court in a high school gym with these rims that they've made a big deal about is like maybe not the best litmus test.
It doesn't quite make sense, does it? Is there a better gym in Maui?
I guess not.
This is the one.
But does it have to be in Maui?
No, I don't think so.
Could they play at the University of Hawaii?
They could. Creighton just goes up by 2 and then finally makes a stop and gets a rebound. Less than a minute left. Let's talk about Texas Tech, Kyle. Texas Tech losing to Creighton. Creighton really good. And then just hitting the absolute dog crap out of Louisville. But Louisville's not good, but they got beat by Texas Tech. I mean, like a rented mule, dominated. And we were talking about it in the Discord earlier. By the way, patreon.com/gamblinggauchos if you want to join the Discord. People were freaking out about Louisville like they just lost to a high school team. What was the deal with that?
I don't know. Some of these national analysts, of course, there's a lot of eyes on Maui, are, on one hand, rightfully making a big deal out of the fact that Louisville scored 38 points. But they also have lost to 3 schools that you've probably never heard of or didn't know had a basketball program. I guess App State was one of those. People have heard of App State.
In football.
So I don't know why all of a sudden Texas Tech, nationally known for having a great defense, holds them to 38, so they fall to 0-5, the second time they got their asses kicked in Maui. And now it's like, oh, Louisville might not be very good. Like, yeah, you think? Like, why is their loss to Texas Tech the dam-breaking moment and not their 3 losses to mid or low majors?
By
and
1 point.
Yesterday, when they also got their asses handed to them in Maui, I don't really get it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a dominant performance, but it was really not any different than what we've seen from Louisville to this point in the season.
That was the lowest point total in the Miami Invitational since 1991.
The Maui Invitational or the Miami Invitational?
Maui. What did I say?
Miami.
I'm pretty sure I said Maui.
Different sides of the country.
We can check the tape. The Maui Invitational. Minnesota held somebody to 37 in 1991. And Alex Acorn, the music guy from the USA the last, 2 years ago now, he looked up that it was the lowest point total from Louisville in a basketball game since 1942.
Yeah, I don't...
Seems crazy.
On ESPN, they were saying since 81 or 82. Because they scored 30-something versus Xavier.
Well, that makes more sense.
I don't know.
But I'm just going to go with Alex Acorn.
Yeah.
Why not? Looking ahead to Ohio State, a couple of players familiar with. The main one, Sean McNeil.
Isaac
from,
Likely.
from West Virginia.
Here's about Sean McNeil.
And then,
No offense.
Yeah, no offense.
If he's listening.
And I think there was one game he hit a bunch of threes on Texas Tech, and they still lost. But Isaac Likely, who I did not know was at Ohio State until you tweeted that today.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he left Oklahoma State.
I did the handshake meme. It's like Isaac Likely, Jim Knowles, leaving Oklahoma State for Ohio State.
I also had to think for a second on who Jim Knowles was when you posted that. It's like he came out of nowhere last year to Oklahoma State. Now he's just like a defensive genius. And I know he was like around a long time before that, but
yeah. I think Ohio State will be really good. I think Creighton is a better team than you at this point in the season. Louisville should not have been invited to Maui.
Well, I mean, this is 2 years ago they invited all these teams together.
With the benefit of hindsight.
Good grief.
Which I have a follow-up point on that, but I'm going to finish this by saying your third game is probably your most level competition to this point, and so another opportunity to learn a lot, win a game that should be a quad one game. I tweeted this and people got up in arms, Rob. Tell me where you think the disconnect might have been. That you don't go to Maui to play quad 3 games, because you can play 12 of those at the USA before Big 12 play gets here. And a lot of people, just by my observation, that Louisville's net is 130, and if they don't get to 100 or better, then this will be a quad 3 game. Seemingly up in arms about that. Some of them were like we'll just win as if I have any impact on that.
Right.
Some of them were like, why are we worried about quad losses? I'm like, well, you're not necessarily worried about it. It's just an observation of fact.
But you are worried about it.
And also, did we learn nothing from last year when you had the top 5 or 6 wins on your resume was as good or better than anybody else's in the country, but games, I don't know, let's call it 7 through 25 is where you missed out. And so you played in Maui because you don't have a good enough non-con, playing home and homes. You go to Maui to play quad 1 games. Quad 2 at worst. And so Louisville is going to be quad 3. They're the worst team in the ACC by any analytical metric. That's not why you went to Maui. And it stinks. But I was hoping for 3 quad 1 games, and Louisville did not hold up their end of the bargain.
To this point. Now, they could get on a run or whatever else in ACC play, but no, they're not going to.
No.
They're not going to. What I was going to say was Texas Tech they're scheduled to be a 3 seed. It's like, we have a good enough Big 12 schedule to be a 3 seed, so that's fine.
And y'all can gripe at me for the observation, but the committee is kind of lazy from what I've learned about them. And to them, it's just quad 1, quad 2, or whatever. It doesn't matter if the game was played in November or March. They treat all quad 1 games equally. So if you go to Duke or to Gonzaga and beat the tar out of them, that's the same as beating up on, number 50 on a neutral site or whatever the quad 1 threshold is. And if you are a bubble team or, you're trying to avoid the 4 or 5 line and you want to move up to a 3, it matters that you played a quad 3 game in Maui instead of a quad 1 game. And so people might not like it, and I guess if they want a podcast to not analyze the quality of opponent and just tweet things like just win, then maybe a different podcast. I don't know, because I like to follow the analytical importance of the games.
Well, and you tweeted that before or after Louisville?
Before.
Okay,
here's the other thing. No, here's the other.
before,
No, hang on. Here's the other thing.
But I still don't understand the response.
I chose my words very carefully. I said
did.
This will be a quad 3 game. I didn't say quad 3 win. I said
Right.
quad 3 game, which means win and you get no benefit from it, lose and you have a quad 3 loss as a stain on your resume. It doesn't benefit you to play that game, especially not in Maui. Like, I get there's going to be some cupcakes, but again, you have 10 or 11 of those at the USA before Big 12 play anyway. You're not going to Maui to play quad 3 games.
No, and benefit of hindsight, like you said, Louisville does not belong in the field. And I don't know if Maui can handpick by year. I don't think they can because schools schedule trips like this in advance, and you can go out of the country or out of the contiguous United States something like a certain amount of years, and so you have to schedule these in advance. So they thought Louisville would bounce back. They wrote them off. Louisville didn't write back. Oh, they did write back and said, thank you for writing us off. We suck.
It's crazy that you can just write one thing and then people read 5 things that you didn't say. People are like, well, this team can still,
That's crazy,
gain some chemistry and learn. I was like, I didn't say they couldn't.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I didn't say they couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, we still need to win. Yeah, I agree.
Just like I wouldn't say that Texas couldn't go to an Alamo Bowl.
No, you didn't say that. You just like to argue stuff.
Do you have
that
anything else?
technically has a 3% chance of happening
Do you have anything else about the basketball team?
just because you like to argue. I don't. I don't like to argue. No, I'm really curious to see what happens with Ohio State. And I think all things considered, you win that one and you finish 2-1 in Maui. That's a good trip.
3 quick things.
Actually, I do have one more thought on basketball.
Daniel Baccio.
Dog.
Kevin O'Banner.
Dog.
Robert Jennings.
Dog.
Who's your 6th man?
Robert Jennings? Lamar Washington? Played 23 minutes today.
I feel like they wanted it to be Lamar Washington, but he didn't get any minutes versus Creighton yesterday.
Yeah, and he had 4 or 5 turnovers today. Is it Damarian Williams?
No, he's probably close to last on the team in minutes. KJ Allen?
Yeah. I think the team is trying to figure it out.
I think it'll be Dawes when he comes back. But then if number 6 and 7 on your bench are Dawes and KJ,
Or Robert Jennings.
you need another guard or a wing.
Yeah.
What happened to Walton? He was getting a lot of minutes the first 2 or 3 games.
He did not look good against Louisville today in the second half. Of course, the game kind of got sloppy up 30, but
There's opportunity there.
Yes.
Somebody on the bench can carve out a really good role for themselves and probably play 24 minutes a game in Big 12 play.
and I've thought Robert Jennings has earned minutes every time he's been out there, but again, you can't have Robert Jennings and KJ as your first 2 off the bench because you need scoring off the bench. That was your main issue against Creighton, I would say.
Is this tied?
I don't know. I have not seen the score.
It'd be nice if they showed that on the screen.
They got a shot off. They did not call a foul. He was trying to get a foul. I don't know why that guy left his feet.
It must be tied.
Tied it because they're trying to put time back on the clock. Or Arkansas just took a lead. I don't know.
Texas Tech fans,
They fouled. Well, no, they fouled, so it can't be tied.
I don't know if he fouled on purpose.
Yeah, he's down 1.
Okay, they're down 1. Texas Tech fans should be rooting for Creighton to win the Big East.
Yes.
Creighton plays Texas, so they'll have a common opponent. But the Big East is always a pretty quality conference, and I don't like arguing quality losses. But the higher Creighton's net and Ken Palm and all that is, the better it is for Texas Tech.
Do you think they'll take the sound tarping off the Moody for Creighton? They're going to be top 8, top 7.
They didn't for Gonzaga, and Gonzaga was 2, 4.
Yeah. Crazy. But a hell of a schedule Chris Beard put together. He never did that in Lubbock. Do people just not want to come to Lubbock?
I don't know. I'm not even on the train that you should schedule Duke and Gonzaga. Just get a quad 2.
Yeah.
Get somebody who won their mid-major last year
Yeah.
that wants to play a Power 6 opponent.
Or, Clemson.
Or like Rutgers.
Yes.
Somebody with a pulse.
Hell, UTEP, UTSA, just a step up from Northwestern Alabama conglomerate.
UNT.
Sure.
I don't get why it is that hard.
New Mexico State.
Yeah, New Mexico State, Arizona State, those are close enough to you regionally.
Yeah.
That should be an easy home and home.
Yes.
And you don't need 8 games like that. Just
No.
have like 3 of them.
Yes.
Can you get, okay, besides the Big East and the SEC matchups that you have every year, play in one neutral site tournament to get 2 or 3 games like you're getting in Maui, and then one home and home. You go away to a Power 6 opponent, one
Yes.
Power 6 opponent comes to you.
Yes.
I'd be
Every year.
happy as a clam.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk football.
Let's talk football, man.
Football! But before we do that, shout out to our friends over at Rahino Barbecue. You know, some people, Rob, no names,
Yeah.
because it's not that serious. Some people would rather eat Skyline chili than Rahino Barbecue.
Yeah. And
There's nothing you can do for people like that.
so terrified to play Texas Tech was Cincinnati before they got to the new Big 12 because of Dana B. Oh, sorry, no names. They it's not that serious, man. And then so they lost to Ohio State on purpose.
That was another thing on Twitter. People telling me to like calm down and not take it so seriously. I'm like, I made a
joke.
Skyline chili joke, guys.
Yeah.
If I was any calmer, I'd be asleep.
First of all,
I'm fine.
Dana's whole thing was engagement, and then when we
He
gave
gets
him
it.
engagement,
Yeah.
he was mad.
I thought I was pretty mild. I said, you'd rather eat Skyline than Rahino Barbecue. It was a sponsor plug.
Yeah. Who
And-
wouldn't want to eat Rahino Barbecue? It's the best barbecue, top 50 in the state, top 1 in West Texas.
I said, sucks to be Dana. It rules to be a Red Raider. He's like, hey, man, come on.
It's not that serious.
It's like, and
I'm
then
just a 29-year-old washout.
I was like,
Like,
okay,
no,
then.
you're not, dude.
Anyway,
Just did a 6-month excursion, went to 7 different schools.
hey, calm down, dude. It's not that serious, all right?
All right, man.
But anyway, Rahino Barbecue is the GOAT. I was fortunate enough to partake this past weekend. Got to get back out there. And hey, don't let the cold weather coming up scare you away. They've got a great patio, heated patio out there in
Tarps.
Olton. So still a great place to go grab some fantastic barbecue. Thank you to Rahino at Rahino BBQ. Follow them on social. Thank you to them for their support of the Gambling Gauchos. We're thankful, right, Rob? This is a season of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Are we going to do something special for Thanksgiving today?
Yeah, well, I figured we could go back and forth and say what we're thankful for.
Are you going to tell me one thing you're thankful for about me?
I could probably do more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just need some time to really think
Yeah, I
on
would
it.
need time to. Oklahoma's come to town.
Yep.
You've not beaten Oklahoma in Lubbock since.
09, I believe. Is that the Ryan Broyles game when he tried to taunt you while while trailing by 24?
Was that in Lubbock or was that in? I think it was.
Yeah, you only beat them there once. 2011.
2011.
Seth Dagey game. Neil Brown was the offensive coordinator.
Yep. They ate peanut butter sandwiches during a lightning delay.
Yeah.
In 2005, I believe, was it 05?
That's the
Was it
Torian Henderson. Yeah.
The thread you did today, which you've done them for 4 or 5 schools, TCU, Baylor. I did not see an Iowa State one. I think there was a Kansas one.
I had nothing on
Yeah,
Iowa
there
State.
was nothing there.
Kansas, there was a few. The West Virginia one was pretty.
The West Virginia
especially
one,
for schools that far away that don't
Yeah.
have a history like
lots
you do
of
with
lengthy stuff.
the Southwest Conference schools.
The photo you found for CJIU, how did you just Google CJIU Oklahoma and then that was the first one you saw?
No, I've had that photo of Torian Henderson saved. I might have used that for the countdown to kickoff.
But you knew it was CJIU?
No, I didn't until I went back and kind of like I reviewed the tape because I thought he might be in that picture, and I was like, I think that's him because he was 98 or 99,
That is hilarious.
and I found other pictures. I was like, yeah, I'm like 95% sure that's CJIU.
that is hilarious.
You know what else is funny about that game?
I was there.
You were?
Uh-huh.
That game is the Big 12 refs tried to rip us off, but
Yes.
we won anyway game. Do we have
Yes.
that on the board for the ones who may not be as familiar?
Big 12 refs tried to rip us off. We won anyway. Go Raiders!
If you
Okay.
don't know what that is, there's an interview being done in the tunnel.
Yes. We can find the video on YouTube. Do you know who
Yes.
the interview is being done with?
Running back.
Fullback named J.D. Runnels.
Yes.
Whose doppelganger is C.J. Ayu. So when Joey McGuire got hired and he was filling his staff and it was announced that C.J. Ayu was coming as an assistant, a bunch of Tech fans were like, he's the guy in that video, the Oklahoma player that they interviewed. I was like, no, not quite, guys.
Not quite.
So anyway, they get them mixed up, I guess.
Go Raiders!
That's one of my favorite videos of all time.
You know who else was on that OU squad?
05. I have no idea.
Dusty Dvoracek.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy.
that guy. You don't like Dvoracek?
Not a big fan. He's all right. Him and Steve Levy calling Tech Oklahoma games has kind of scarred me forever because they stunk.
You better, Devora, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Who's calling the game this weekend? Do you know? I could look that up.
It's not Tim Brando. He's doing the Sunflower Showdown.
No, and they were not happy.
No.
Kansas State fans were not happy.
Not happy about that. Anyway, what were we talking about? CJIU. The Oklahoma connections. Yeah. A ton of the connections really just stem from Mike Leach being the offensive coordinator there, and then bringing some assistants over with him.
Well, Lincoln Riley.
Right.
A bunch of coaches did both.
You know what I should have? I don't know how I could have woven this into the thread, but Cliff Kingsbury, he didn't leave Texas Tech to go to USC, but USC was his next stop. But Lincoln Riley didn't go to USC from Tech, of course. He went from OU. So anyway, honestly, we can get into it. I think this is a super evenly matched game.
Would you say that Cliff coached at USC or just was hired by USC? Because 4 former Texas Tech quarterbacks have coached for USC, if that's the case.
Daggy, Cliff, Riley, and Harrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I kind of forgot about Graham Harrell there for a second. I was like, who's the fourth one?
Maybe USC will lose back-to-back and you'll get stuck with them somehow in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl or something.
Wonder what Davis Webb is going to do after cashing checks.
Oh, coach.
In the NFL for a decade. At USC?
For sure. Maybe at Cal.
He'll probably go to USC.
Maybe Kitley will be off to bigger and better as a head coach somewhere, and Joey McGuire hired Davis Webb.
Davis Webb, man. Good for him.
Yeah.
He was a Power 5 caliber starter, and it just so happens that the greatest player to ever play football comes in right behind him at Tech.
And he got to Tech with a number 1 overall draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner.
And he uses the portal to his advantage, gets drafted, and I don't know if he'll be like Chase Daniel, but he'll cash enough checks in the NFL. Yeah, that he'll be good. So
well, and he's so instrumental to the rest of the process. He's a cheap coach. And probably a more expensive coach, actually, because they could just hire an intern.
Was his dad a coach?
I don't know that. But when he's with the Bills, do you remember the article that came out that he did all the cornerbacks' books that they needed to... Anyways.
I didn't see that.
So Oklahoma's coming to town.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the per drive stats just in Big 12 conference play. By this point, I think that's a really good and fair analysis because both of these teams have played all the same opponents in that respect other than each other. And they seem very evenly matched to me. I'd be curious if you have a different take or if you think there's an area or two where one team could separate from each other. But just to run through it real quickly, offensive points per drive, Tech is 7th in the conference. Oklahoma is 8th. Their touchdown rate, Texas Tech's is 29%. Oklahoma's is 28%. Again, 7th and 8th respectively in the conference. I guess where there are some divergences is Texas Tech kicks a lot more field goals. 3rd in the conference. Oklahoma 9th.
Now that's made field goals. I think they've either missed a few or just have not kicked them.
Your punt rate is skewed because you're so aggressive on 4th down. You have the 2nd lowest punt rate in the conference. Oklahoma 8th in the conference. So they punted a lot more than you, but again, some of that is because you're also turning it over on downs instead of punting. Turnover rate, almost identical. Both teams right at 12%, 5th and 6th in the conference respectively. Both kind of on the bottom in terms of turnover rate. Texas Tech worse in the conference, 13.4%.
But
sorry, this is not turnovers, it's turnover on downs. So again, your philosophy kind of lends itself to that. Oklahoma, not too good either, though. They're 8th in the conference. Yards per drive, you're neck and neck. I could go through some other ones, but you get the point. I think that this is not the OU of old where they're just going to out-talent you. They're better at every aspect of the game than you. They're very comparable.
And these are color-coded. And there's only 1 or 2, maybe punt rate, that are even further than 2 apart.
Yeah, the punt rate,
field goal rate.
And again, that is because you're so aggressive on 4th down. Your turnover on downs rate, force on defense is 4th in the conference. There's a 7th. I guess if there's one area where I think maybe there is some separation, it would be the 4th down philosophy.
Yes.
And so you hate to simplify a game down to just one aspect, but this could be one of those games if OU can get off the field on 4th down, that's a huge advantage for them. And if Texas Tech is successful in leaning into that identity, staying aggressive on 4th down, and converting those attempts, maybe the advantage is theirs.
The TV crew this week is Eric Collins and Devin Gardner.
Oh, same as last week. They did Iowa State.
Oh, did they do Iowa State?
Yeah. That was
We
Devin
didn't
Gardner.
listen.
Right.
Did they also do West Virginia?
West Virginia. I don't know.
I think Devin Gardner did another game because you were there, obviously.
Yeah, I don't recall.
So I think this might be this crew's 3rd Texas Tech game, which I like. I wish that there was more overlap like that where you could have, and I know they do a bunch of Big 12 games, so they'll probably have called an Oklahoma game too. I like that at the end of the year, they know these teams.
Yeah, I like that too. Although, so you're right. We missed some of that because we were watching where alphas watch football games.
Yes.
No free ads.
Though if they want to do ads,
Yeah, hey, well,
do some live
We're
shows
down.
there and everything else.
where was I going at that point? Okay, yeah, so we missed the commentary live, and then when I did the rewatch, I'm fast-forwarding through the breaks in between plays. But apparently they were throwing shade at Joey McGuire for being a high school coach, and some of his calls were high school, Bush League. We talked about the coaching advantage, though.
Right.
When it was all said and done, he outcoached Matt Campbell. I think we covered that adequately on the last podcast.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll tone that down this weekend.
You know what? I hope they don't. I hope they keep doing it because I love the fact, and I wrote this on KCAM.com earlier in the week, I love the fact that people call him a high school coach. I think it fuels him. And I want the Texas High School Coaches Association to be proud of the fact that Joey McGuire is a high school coach from the high school ranks. As long as that's perpetuated, the better Tech looks in recruiting.
It's kind of like the overrated chant, too.
Yeah.
So, like, Texas fans were mocking us all offseason for hiring a high school coach.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then you just lost to a high school coach.
Right.
So, I guess, whenever we start winning 9 games and go into Alamo Bowls, which we're not going to do this year,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, did you let a high school coach do that to you, or can you
Yeah,
just give him some respect?
Let's take one of the most important things in Texas culture, especially West Texas culture, high school football, and claim that that's a negative. Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So I don't mind it at all.
And I don't think he cares. He
No,
said that at his
he
introductory
loves it.
press conference. He said, I'm a high school coach who happens to coach college football.
Yeah, and he said that they were going to make this the Texas high school university.
Yeah. Fine by me. Look at our high school recruiting right now.
I want to go find that clip and post that we're Texas high school university whenever somebody says he's a high school coach.
It's like, yeah, correct.
Yeah. Looking at conference only stats, and the analytical numbers also matter, obviously. But just some broad stats that you have to look at these in kind of vacuums. Okay, Oklahoma got shut out in a game this year, so their season average in points is going to look low. Of course, they also scored 56 in a game this year, so that kind of evens out. That's why it's averages. This is conference games only.
If we had the time, I would love to look at both schools, take out their best performance and their worst, and look at the other 6 conference games that they've played. But we didn't do that.
No.
Oh well. I'm just in a dream world.
Points per game, right beside each other at 30 per game and 27 per game. And then defensively, Texas Tech gives up 29 points per game, and they give up 34. So you score 3 more, they give up 3 more. You're going to win by 6.
And really,
That's how it works, right?
ever since they kind of got exposed in, early October, ESPN FPI has had this as a toss-up, and it moves a little bit one way or the other. I don't think it's swung more than like 55-45 for either team, though, for the last nearly 2 months. So I think we always knew this was going to be a closely contested game if you pay attention to stuff like that.
Yeah. I think their defense is bad.
I think so too. I want to talk about their offense next, but yeah, their defense gave up 38 to Baylor in Norman.
Yeah.
A Baylor offense that since put up 3 at home against Kansas State, right? And then 20-something at home against TCU, which has not really been shutting people down most of the season. You know, they've been a defense that has been had before.
And you gave up 30-something to Baylor. They had a pick 6 too, but
Oklahoma went scoreless in the final 3 quarters of Bedlam at home.
yeah.
So
Still won.
they had a great first quarter. They had 200-something yards and 28 points, but
Yeah.
clearly they aren't able to just sustain that consistently, even within games, not even talking about game to game. They only scored 20 against West Virginia, a bad defense. So I don't even know if their offense is that potent. They're certainly better with Dylan Gabriel healthy than they were without him, but
And Marvin Mims has gotten a lot of opportunities deep and cashed in some and dropped some.
all their good outputs, though, 52 against Kansas, that was on October 15th.
And they allowed
42 in Norman again. They allowed 41 to K-State in Norman. They scored 34. That's a pretty good offensive output. 49 versus Nebraska, but we're in mid-September now. Only scored 33 versus Kent State.
And 0 against Texas.
I think the narrative around this team for a long time was good offense, bad defense. I don't know if their offense is that good.
Well, and when they were going to the playoff, it was great offense, good defense. Not even good. Mediocre. So I agree. This is not the Baker Mayfield, Mark Andrews, P. Ryan Mixon, D.D. Westbrook offense that we saw go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think it's a bad offense.
I don't think so either.
But I think you're trending upwards, and they're, at the very least, plateaued.
Who do you think cares more about this game?
Texas Tech.
It is hard to... Okay, so 2 things on this. A school like Oklahoma will always claim that they're your Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not when you're 6-5.
No.
There was a time when, Texas and OU were always the biggest games on the schedule. They're top 5, top 10 teams. That was the big game on the calendar. You're not anybody's Super Bowl when you're 6-5.
No, but I think there is some cachet to be had by saying it's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I don't think in the film room they're saying, big bad Oklahoma's coming. We got to watch out. I think they're saying this is who they are on the field. Historically, you've never beaten Texas and Oklahoma in the same season. Do you want to make some freaking history?
Yes.
And I think that's been said in the locker room. I think there's plenty of bulletin board material as well. You've not beaten them since 2011. They won 6 straight Big 12 championships. They beat your best team in the last 20 years by 2 touchdowns or whatever it was.
On that point, that you've never beaten Texas and Oklahoma in the same season, there are a lot of similar bullet points like that at stake.
Yes.
Which is also why I agree with you that Texas Tech feels like there's more on the line. I think a lot of guys at OU probably are just ready for the season to be over. They're not going to hit any of their preseason goals of winning the Big 12, going to the playoff, anything like that. Some of them are probably looking at the transfer portal. I just don't think they're going to be that juiced to play a 6-5 Texas Tech team in Lubbock.
No.
So some of these other bullet points, like you said, Texas and OU, both dubs in the same season. That's never happened before. First winning record in conference play since 2009.
And another way to say that is the first winning record in conference play ever during the round-robin format.
Yeah.
You have never had a winning record when you've played all 9 Big 12 schools in the same year.
That's a good way of looking at it. What else was it? So you have that you could win your 6th home game, which I would find really
6-1.
funny because of all the heat Texas Tech and Joey McGuire took for saying everything runs through Lubbock. If you finish the season 6-1 in Lubbock, I think you more or less backed up that statement.
Yeah.
You have not won 6 home games since 2009 in the same season. Joey McGuire would become the first-year head coach at Texas Tech to have a winning record in conference play since Spike Dykes went 4-3-1 in the Southwest Conference in 1987.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's even Cliff Kingsbury, who started 7-0 and couldn't do any of that. He finished 0-5. And you know what I forgot to do
What
today?
did you forget to do?
Dadgummit. I'm going to look this up. When's the last time you won 3 straight games to finish a year?
3 straight games to finish a year.
At Texas Tech.
Might have also been 2009. Do you mean regular season or bowl included?
Regular season.
Man.
When's the last time you won the 3 final games in November?
Man.
Because I don't know.
It might even
Have you ever
be...
done that? Not ever. I'm sure you've done it in the history of Texas Tech football. But
I'm just trying to think of like even the really good teams like 05, they went to the Cotton Bowl, but they lost one in Stillwater down the stretch.
08, you lost to Oklahoma in the second last game of the year.
I wonder if 04, because a lot of their losses were early in the season, but they wound up playing for a Holiday Bowl. I wonder if they won their last 3. And I'm not saying that's the last time it's happened, but
Right.
that's a team that comes to mind that might have done that.
But not last year, not 2020.
Them in 2009 would be my best guesses.
Because even the Tuberville years, you faltered down the stretch.
Oh,
Cliff,
yeah.
Cliff always did it. Did you see the first half, second half season winning percentages from Texas Tech
Yeah.
and Arizona?
I think that's different in the NFL because there's no Sam Houston in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, the non-conference is very, very generous to the front half.
I wish
of
they
your
had
schedule.
pulled his Big 12 record, like his first 5 Big 12 games and his last 4. I bet
Right.
it probably was. All right, I'm going to look up 2009 and 2004 to see if either of those squads did it. And if it's not them, then we might be going back a long ways. Even, again, some of the really good teams, 1976, they lost to Houston.
At the very end?
Yeah. We should have asked Mainville. He's so good at
I
pulling
know,
the...
and I had this on my thing to do before the podcast. This is
Okay.
great radio, by the way.
So 2009, if you count the bowl game, they finished with Oklahoma, Baylor, and Michigan State all wins. But their third to last regular season game, Oklahoma State, was a loss. So
But
that's
4 out of 3.
3 out of 4. Yeah.
What'd I say? 4 out of 3? Same thing.
Having a really good time correcting you.
It's okay. I need it most days.
All right, 2004 is my other shot in the dark here. Let's see. Some of these you remember the games, but you don't remember the order that they were played in.
Right.
No, 2004, their final 3 games, win versus Baylor, loss at A&M, win versus Oklahoma State. But they won 4 out of their last 5 if you count the bowl. So they did finish strong, but not fitting the criteria that you mentioned. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out here.
So yeah, all that to say, I think there's a lot on the line for Texas Tech and just kind of program perception. Are you trending up from last season? Yes, I think worst case scenario, you're about on par with last season. And not that Joey McGuire needs a last-minute recruiting pitch to anybody in the 2023 class, but moving forward, the 2024 class, you can say, hey, we've been to a bowl game 2 years in a row. Hopefully we won 2 bowls in a row. You know, we won 8 games if you count the bowl last season. We're going up. If you join us in Lubbock, we can win 9 or 10 games. Oklahoma, I don't think, can really sell any of that. So Brent Venables is going to have to be an excellent motivator this week.
And that's a roster that there has been turnover, sure. But all those sophomores, juniors, seniors, redshirt sophomores, juniors, seniors have been like Big 12 championship or bust kind of players. And now they're here. You missed one last year, and now you're 6-5. That's just not their standard, right? And as we've said numerous times now, you go 7-5 with a 5-4 conference record. That's your best season since 2009. In a lot of ways. Now you've gone 7-5 since, but this is different.
It is. And I still run into the occasional Texas Tech fan that thinks it's 2008, 2009, and they're like, well, 7-5 isn't good enough. Who cares if you just make a bowl game? I kind of agree with that. I do think the standard should be higher, but like if you're on a ship and you're sailing in one direction and you want to turn it around and go a different direction, you got to kind of slow the ship down first and start to make the turn before you can just do a 180. So I'm not going to hang my head at all about if you can pull off this win. 7-5 with a winning record in the Big 12, consecutive bowl games for the first time in, I think, 9 years, maybe a decade. And hopefully if you win the bowl game and you get to 8-5, I'm not going to gripe about that. I'm going to say this is a great foundation that has been laid in year one, and we're going to build taller and better from here.
In the Southwest Conference's final year of action, 1995, Texas Tech beat TCU November 11th, SMU on the road November 18th, Houston on the road November 25th, and then beat Air Force.
The Copper Bowl.
4 straight wins. That is the last time that you've done it. You finished 9-3. That is the last time you won 3 straight games to finish the season in the regular season.
And
1995.
not to be a downer, the 4 games that you won, all of them are against current or former Group of 5 schools. Like there's no A&M or Baylor
Right,
or
but that's Southwest Conference games.
Oklahoma State. But I'm saying
At the time, Pierce.
they were the ones that got relegated after the Southwest Conference.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, it wasn't like you finished with Arkansas.
The context there is this is the final Southwest Conference year. Yes, I agree that those are the ones that were probably had their daubers down.
The Copper Bowl, I think, was a James Gray game. I think, and Anthony Lynn. I think they both had multiple touchdown rushes versus Air Force in the Copper Bowl.
All right, so in 1993,
Could Tim DeRuyter?
it was Oklahoma. I guess Oklahoma's a bowl game there, huh? Yeah. So you finished with wins against Rice, Texas, TCU, SMU, and Houston to finish 6-6.
Could Tim DeRuyter have been at Air Force in the mid '90s?
Could have been.
I'm gonna pull that up.
1995 is wild.
No, he was at Ohio. He was at Air Force '89 to '92.
Oh, just missed him then.
He went back to Air Force in 2007. That would have been a cool.
That would have been a cool factoid.
It's crazy how long some of these guys are in the game.
Yeah. In 1991, you went 3 wins to finish the year: Arkansas, Baylor, Houston, but missed a bowl game at 6-5. Back when it was hard to get in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm back to. Oh man.
Very historical pod.
Well,
I didn't know we were going to go that route with
You've
it.
just not. Okay, so 1973. 1973.
Oh, that was a good year. Was that the Peach Bowl?
That's when you beat Tennessee in the Gator Bowl.
Oh, Gator Bowl.
73.
Okay.
Peach Bowl was 74. You went 11-1 overall, and your only loss was in week 3.
Okay, well,
1973. If you win against Oklahoma, it'll be the first time since 95 and the second time since 1973 that you finish with 3 regular season wins in a row.
you haven't won 3 Big 12 games in a row since Cliff's run, right? Surely you didn't in 2014 through 2021.
No, I don't think you did at all.
Because some of those seasons
But
you only won
but did
3 conference games, period. 4 and
Yeah,
5 was
so-
your best conference mark, so you probably weren't winning 3 in a row.
You played TCU early. Kansas, Iowa State, West Virginia
When was
in
that?
a row. 2013.
Yeah, but we haven't done it since then, right?
14. No.
You only won 2
Obviously
games.
in 14. No, you have not.
I didn't think so.
No. Oh, man.
So, again, are you going to hang a banner for any of this stuff? No. But would it be meaningful for the program in terms of making strides versus where it's been over the last 5, 10, 15 years? Compared to any kind of moral victory or silver lining that Oklahoma can claim, absolutely this game means more to Texas Tech. Even if, all that aside, you just look at the logos on the helmet, OU's not going to get as hyped to play Texas Tech as you are to play them. I hope that the team kind of feeds off the last 2 weeks, buys into some momentum, and says, let's finish the regular season on a strong point, get to a better bowl game, and then let's go win the freaking bowl game.
Yes.
Oklahoma, if they're able to manufacture motivation for this game, it'll be that manufactured. And credit to Brent Venables and his locker room if he's able to do that. But
Well,
it's got to be hard to do at a program like that.
you know who's really good about manufacturing motivation?
Joey.
High school coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another reason why I think Joey McGuire is damn proud of being a high school coach. And I really don't get offended when people say that about him. Now, did you see, and I missed this, but did you see the tire on the sideline during the game last week?
I saw it after the fact and saw that it was a Creed movie reference, but I've never seen
Yeah.
any of the Creed movies, so I don't get it.
So the tire's on the ground in the movie. Rocky picks it up. They're training for a fight against Ivan Drago's son. Apollo Creed died at the hands of Ivan Drago.
I know the Rocky movies. I don't know the Creed movies.
I just set up the backstory.
Okay.
So Creed is preparing to fight the man's son who killed his father
Prepare to die.
in the ring.
Oh, that's a different movie.
That was Princess Diaries.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
My name's Inigo
That
Montoya.
might be my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't want to derail
As you
you,
wish.
so go ahead. Yes. As
You
you
kind
wish.
of you've been to Halloween as Dread Pirate Robert.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I knew that.
Good memory.
Or just would peg you as a Dread Pirate Robert kind of guy.
I was
I'll never know.
Wesley, and my wife was Princess Buttercup.
As you wish. What was I even? Oh, Creed.
Rocky movies and Creed.
So Rocky drops the tire in the middle of the ring, and there's this big, massive guy across the way. He says, "Put your foot in the tire." So he puts his foot in the tire, flat, and then the other guy does, and they fight body to body with their feet in the tire. So I'm sure he told these guys at Iowa State, "Put your foot in the tire," and don't you think that mattered on a goal line stand? Hey, put your damn foot in the tire and don't get out until the fight's over, because they're going to keep punching. You have to keep punching. I don't know if that was his speech. That would be my speech. But Joey Maguire does that kind of stuff, and it fits in this program.
Well, I'm not calling you out here. Just statement of fact. You know, I like to just say things that are factual.
Yeah,
and-
can I guess what you're going to say?
yeah.
I complained about Joey being a high school coach in some of the stuff early in the year.
No, that
Okay, what were you going to say?
specific to Iowa State.
Oh.
I think you and I were both just a little bit nervous about the game because of the cold.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But so
yeah,
so
and
pregame.
I hammered him pregame.
Pregame, the Texas Tech creative team is tweeting pictures of players going out for warm-ups shirtless. And, they're saying, Brand don't care.
Yeah.
Bring on the cold.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, if you can back it up, then this is badass. If you
Well-
can't, you're going to look stupid.
I just to clarify, I loved the guys that came out shirtless. Charlie Robinson had the
Fair.
cowboy hat.
Yes.
But the thing that got me was the video. And I don't think it was the Tech guys that put it out. I think it was Mason Hordisky
Yeah.
who put out the video. But same thing. They're out there bundled up and then taking all their stuff at the logo.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times do you see people do things at the logo?
Yeah, that's always touchy-feely.
Yeah.
But if you can back it up,
Didn't you almost get in a fight with West Virginia because you were on their logo or they were on the double
no,
T?
they brought a sledgehammer to the logo. And that was a Cliff team, and so they're like, whoa, what do we do? Are we supposed to be in a dogfight? Anyway, that's kind of a cheap shot at Cliff. I love Cliff. But if you can do that, if you can come out shirtless when it's negative 26 degrees outside and you can back it up and say,
Yeah.
Brand don't care, great. And I like that. I mean, obviously you haven't had a perfect season, but this team seems tough. They've had
Yes.
bad quarters, bad halves, bad games, and they seem to bounce back. And they're hyping up this Brand don't care, what's next. And so, they got a pretty good win against a much improved Kansas team. They go to the Arctic tundra and beat a team that should have been much more comfortable and familiar in those conditions. And here they are, for the regular season finale. And I hope that they have that same edge, that same toughness to them. I've loved to see that. And yeah, it can backfire on you if you don't back it up, but they don't really seem that worried about it.
No.
They're like, this is who we are. We're going to lean into it, and we're going to back it up more often than not.
Well, and the point I was making before all that was it just seems genuine. There are coaches that will go out and bury a ball or burn a box score, and it's like, okay, guy.
Or when Jason Garrett made the players earn the star in training
Yeah,
camp.
like that's just not you. Or Mike McCarthy smashed in a watermelon, even though it worked. Do you remember when he did that?
No.
He brought in a watermelon and a sledgehammer, and he's like, they're the watermelon. They smashed the watermelon, everybody went crazy.
Did you have... Let's do a getting to know the Gauchos real quick. Sponsored by our friends at StayTrig. StayTrig.com, where you can book a local option for your short-term home rental. If you're coming to Lubbock for the holidays, Texas Tech graduation, Texas Tech football or basketball, or maybe you're in and out of the hub city on business. StayTrig.com offers you an upscale local short-term rental option, and they love our listeners so much You'll get 10% off your first rental with Stay Trig using the promo code Gauchos at staytrig.com. All the homes are professionally decorated and furnished up to the same standard. Don't get stuck with the last-minute overpriced hotel. Don't roll the dice with an Airbnb. You don't know what you're going to get.
Or a Verbo.
Stay local, staytrig.com, 10% off using the promo code Gauchos. Getting to know the Gauchos. In your playing days, was there either a good gimmick that worked or a bad gimmick that you kind of cringe and remember?
Yeah. Okay. I love the coach I'm about to talk about. But we were losing a playoff game one year, and the coaches are going crazy because they're like, some of the guys are like spatted up, taped, armbands, and we're on a different kind of turf, and they have those spats that you pull on, not the tape, and they're slipping. So obviously it's the spats and not the different turf that we don't have the proper cleats for.
Coaches hated. If you had any drip,
yeah,
no towels, no sweatbands,
yeah.
None of that.
All right, so we come out flat, and this team in 2006 is peak Mike Leach offense. They're running hooks and slants, and then their splits are this wide. I swear to God, 4-foot splits. So you can't get a pass rush. The quarterback has all day, and he's spotting us all over the field. But we're not down big at halftime. But 4-7, tough year. Low seed in the playoffs. They were going to kill us. We go in the locker room. The coach, he's giving a speech, right? And all of a sudden he goes, I have more school spirit in my pinky! And she puts his pinky up like he's drinking a cup of tea. And we're all just like, okay, that was supposed to sound really cool for you, but you just starts waving your pinky at us.
Yeah.
But he was the king of those gimmicks and everything like this. He would always, when he thought maybe we weren't working hard or whatever, he'd say, you want to be this kind of guy, and show us his palm, and then say, or this kind of guy. And he'll have a state championship ring on. But he's talking about being two-faced, but it was always...
Get you one of these.
Yes, you want to be this kind of guy or this kind of guy.
Like Don Billings, get you one of these.
Yeah.
I've got a few. Do we have time?
Yeah, one more. If you ran a sprint short, he'd call you an 18-yarder because we would do 60s, 40s, 20s. You guys being 18-yarders right now. And then one year he was calling us 49-minuters because you don't want to play 48 minutes. You want to play through the whistle. You want to play through the game. 49. You got to play 49 minutes of football tonight. All right.
So on the 48 minutes deal, during the off season one year, our coach was trying to ingrain in us like how important, because the athletic block was also, it was like 52 minutes after passing period, so they gave you a couple minutes to like change.
Sure.
But the workout was 48 minutes, and he was trying to like instill in us the correlation between like you work your ass off for 48 minutes in the off season, we go play for 48 minutes in the regular season, and so we're all in the room. It was like study hall, and he goes, "Hey Patrick, how long is a football game?" A few hours. And he goes, JP, how long is a football game? 4 quarters. And he's like getting pissed off. He's like, on the third or fourth day, he goes, it's 48 minutes. You play 4 12-minute quarters. Anyway, freshman B team. I'm the backup quarterback.
Sure.
I really care. I mean, I love football. It's our first game of the season. I can't wait for the season to start. It wasn't until I was older and more mature that I realized nobody in the world cares about a freshman B team game. Not even the coach.
No.
The coach is there.
He's worried about the next game.
Yeah, he's a varsity assistant coach. Yeah. And he wants to move up the ladder in his career. He's just stuck coaching the freshman B team. So anyway, I'm in the zone and listening to my iPod, my pump-up music. I'm taking it serious. You know?
Yeah.
And he comes in for the pregame speech and he goes, all right, everybody, take a knee. He goes, none of you are ever going to be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He goes, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you are because you're not. And I'm like looking around at my friends. I'm like, where's he going with this? He's kind of bringing us down. You know, it's supposed to be like a pump-up speech. And he was like, none of you are ever going to win the Heisman Trophy. Like, okay. He goes, boys, I want you to fake it till you make it. Basically like, y'all suck at football, but go out there and pretend that you don't for an hour.
Yeah.
And,
Probably 36 minutes at that time.
Yeah, just run the plays as if you're good at football, and we'll see where things are. I was like, this is the worst pump up speech of all time.
Yeah.
Another time we were screwing around with a team that wasn't as good as us. This was on varsity, so a little more serious. We go into half, it's like 7-7, but we should be killing them. And our coach is just so we had an offensive locker room and a defensive locker room. So he's talking to the offense. And he's pissed off, and he ends it like this. He goes, "They are dog shit on defense." This dramatic pause. And y'all are just sniffing it. I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was like, dude, hold a straight face till he leaves. Because he always comes and yells at you, and then he leaves to go convene with the other coach. So I was like, do not laugh until he leaves the room.
That's a great line.
Then the last one, this wasn't really a gimmick. It happened pretty naturally. But before the game, all right, so we had a good Division I caliber offensive lineman. And when you first get to the stadium, before you even do walkthroughs or anything, we just had we would walk the field, I think it was called. You go sit out on the turf for 10 minutes to kind of take it in. And he would sit right at the goalpost with his back up against the goalpost and just sit there for a few minutes. And we'd go in, get your stuff on, then you'd come back out and do stretches and warm-ups and everything. Well, we had this other guy who was a little bit of a troublemaker, linebacker, defensive end. So he's not as big, but he can kind of hold his own. He knows that it's our offensive lineman's spot. Mm-hmm. But he goes and sits there anyway for no reason. He's just being a thorn in his side. Right. And the offensive lineman's like, "Hey, that's my spot." And he's like, big whoop, He's like, "Hey, get the hell out of my spot like this. I've been on varsity for 2 years. This is where I sit before the game." He's like, tough shit, basically. They come to blows. They're punching each other. The coaches aren't out on the field with us yet. And so one of them has a bloody nose, and we're like, well, crap. Coach is going to see this. Yeah. Know that there was a fight, and he's going to be pissed. So we try to hide it. We're like, dude, just, cover your mouth or something. And we get halfway up the tunnel. We think we're about to get away with it. And our coach kind of does a double take. He's like, what the hell? Why is your nose bleeding? And so then I'm like, okay, get out of here. Just go to the locker room. And, again, offensive locker room, defensive locker room. He goes to the defensive locker room first. And this is as pissed off as I've ever seen our head coach. And he got pissed off a lot. And we can hear him, on the other side of the locker room walls, just laying into him, ah! It's just muffled through the walls. And we're like, dang, he's about to come for us. He comes into the offensive locker room. And he keeps starting sentences and he can't finish them. He goes, "You guys are... Y'all want to go out there and..." He's pissing, and he goes, "I can't even look at y'all." And he just walks out. And I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. 5 seconds go by. He sprints into the locker room, kicks the crap out of a trash can, goes flying across the room, and just laying it. I was like, there it is. You ever have one of those moments where you're witnessing something embarrassing? You're witnessing a conversation between two other people, and you just wish that you weren't there right now? Yeah. It was that feeling times 1,000. I was like, I wish I could die right here and not have to experience this. Even though it wasn't directed at me. Yeah. The maddest I've ever seen our coach, and he got mad sometimes. And I think we won that game. But not bad. Dude, a lot of things will piss off a coach. Apparently 2 players fighting each other an hour before the game.
For no reason.
Yeah, over something totally stupid. And 2 of his good players. Again, Division I caliber offensive line, starter on our defensive end. It was not good. I'm glad I wasn't one of those 2 because I don't know. I'm sure they had it coming after that. I don't really remember if they got punished. But so it's funny. After he yelled at us, he comes back in before we actually go take the field. He was like, "Hey, wanted to apologize. That was an isolated incident. I got mad at the wrong group of people." We're like, "Yeah, you think? We didn't punch anybody." But anyway, that was... I guess it worked because, like I said, we won that game.
They get wound up.
Yeah.
The most awkward team meeting we ever had like that, because our coach was verbal too. Mm-hmm. Love him. Good man. They toned down quite a bit in my time in high school. From my freshman year to my senior year, it was quite a different vibe in the locker room. But to a Christian private school, and the coach never cussed. Ever. Didn't like it.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
He'd say dadgummit a lot. Anyways, he comes in and drops a couple of bombs. We just had a good game.
Yeah.
We're about to watch film. all the troublemakers had good games, so they're sitting on the front row. Like, the guy's finally going to like me. And he walks in and says, I hear you guys like to say the words F,
Yeah.
ass, shit. And the guy's never cussed in his life. And we're all just like, what?
What is going on?
What is going on? He also has a stack of papers. So he's reading off people's Zangas of like
Oh gosh.
stuff people have said.
It's like the modern day
Yeah.
guy posts on his Instagram story
Yes,
or something.
Yes. So we had to
I was on your
listen to this
MySpace profile, son. I did not like what I read, not one bit.
guy- we had to listen to this guy read Zanga posts about guys being hung or whatever. And it's just the most awkward. And then he goes around to every single person in the locker room and says, son, do you cuss?
Do you now or have you ever?
Every single person in the locker room, he went around. And if a guy said yes, he'd go, that surprises me, man.
I played select basketball in middle school,
Yeah.
and our coach.
This is a really long get to know the
Yeah,
Gauchos.
but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good for the people to get to know the Gauchos. Our head coach was a hard ass, especially for middle school.
Yeah.
And we're like suburban kids. Most everybody comes from like good 2-parent homes. Pretty soft, honestly. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they all kind of like toughened up later in life.
Sure.
But our coach is like not that at all. And so we had one guy in our friend group who, when you're like 12 or whatever and it's like badass to cuss.
Sure.
That was him. Like he knew all the cuss words and like
Yeah.
knew what other words meant that, I'm like this naive. I'm like,
The syntax was probably a little off.
Yeah.
But
And so he was kind of like, I guess, funny or revered in our friend circle because he knew all the bad words. Anyway, he was on the basketball team with us too. And this one time we were playing in Waco, and this team from, I think it's pronounced Mejia.
yeah, man.
Mejia. The locals apparently call it Maher. Dude, I kid you not. These guys, like 5 of them, roll up just in the bed of the coach's pickup truck. Like that's how they get to the game. And we're like, look at these, come on. Dude, they wiped the floor with us in the first half.
Oh, my.
And usually halftime, you just like sit on the bench, the coach talks to you, and you go back out in the second. He was like, come here, get y'all's ass up right now. Like takes us to this like side exit out of the gym.
You're running?
We're like out. No, we're not running. We're outside the building so he could lay into us.
Oh.
Like he didn't mind really cussing at us in front of our parents, but it was like, damn, or like,
Right.
get your ass in gear. It was on another level outside. Like he did not want our parents to hear what he was about to lay into us with.
Right.
And so we get done, it's like the halftime from hell, and we get back in the gym, and the friend who knows all the cuss words, he goes, dang, I didn't even know what some of those words meant. We're like, shoot, that was bad.
Yeah.
And they were a better basketball team than us. They still beat us, but he was just pissed that we were like not showing any effort.
Right.
And so it was like one of those funny conversations to have with your mom after the game. She was like, hey, why did coach take y'all outside the gym for halftime? I was like, well, we were in trouble.
Yeah.
That's why.
Same coach that never cuss was trying to get us to play harder one half. He said, you guys are giving me heart. You guys are giving me head. Try to say we were just playing smart.
Yeah. I had a freshman the same freshman coach who said you're not going to win the Heisman Trophy. I guess because we were just freshmen, he tried to catch himself before he would cuss at us.
Sure.
Some kid screwed up in practice. He goes, hey, man, get your head out of the sand. And we're like, by then we're like 14, 15. We're like, you can say ass in front of us.
Yeah,
you can say pull your head out of your ass. But
Oh, man.
anyway.
You want to make some picks?
Yeah, do we need to do Discord mailbag?
We can do either. You want to do that first?
Yeah, sponsored by Diversified Lenders. Turn your accounts receivable into cash. DiversifiedLenders.com.
Who has better hair, Rob Bro or Quinn Ewers?
I'll go you. His is honestly pretty thinned out. It's not a good look.
Pretty gross.
You got a pretty thick head of hair, so
Thank you.
I'll go with Rob.
I appreciate that because if you look from the right here, even after the Great Clips fiasco, it's still Rob by a mile. That's Big Hen. That's not a question, but
Big Hen is the GOAT.
after the move to the SEC, who gets canned first, Sarkisian or Venables?
Man. I think,
Also, this is DDoS. Shout out to DDoS if you remember who that is.
yeah. I think Brent Venables is the worser coach. So on merit, I think that he
The what?
the worser coach. Worse? Is it just worse? Nobody ever called me Grammar Gaucho. He's the lesser of the two coaches.
Sure.
So on merit, he probably deserves to get fired.
I think you generally would say Sark is the better coach.
But he also got there a year later, so maybe he has a longer leash. I think Sark is actually I think he's a good X's and O's coach. I don't know if he's a good motivator, leader of young men.
Yeah.
And I think Texas will pull the trigger more quickly or quicker. Now I'm really self-conscious
More
about
quickly.
my word choice. I'll say burnt vegetables because I think one more year like this and he's toast. If Sark can get to 9 wins this year, I think he'll not be safe, but more comfortable, and he can sell them on like we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Whereas burnt vegetables has not done anything going in the right direction yet.
And there's still a legitimate chance that Texas is in and wins the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, it would take a KU upset of K-State, but
I don't think that's crazy.
And Texas is pretty heavily favored versus Baylor. So yeah, if they're playing for a Big 12 championship.
How focused are we on OU?
Pretty focused, honestly. I was slipping earlier in the week because there was a World Cup match.
Basketball?
Yeah, you're in Maui 3 days in a row. I hope that it's not too late to completely shift our focus 100% to OU by like Wednesday, Thursday. And then you got Thanksgiving, so that is going to be a distraction for some. So we need everybody's tweets and everything to remain focused. Doesn't matter what we wear. Okay, let's just focus on beating OU.
What are your 3 favorite and 3 least favorite Thanksgiving sides?
Man, I don't want to do 20 minutes here. I made my thoughts clear in the Discord.
This isn't on the Discord mailbag. I just wanted to ask you this so I could get this soliloquy.
My opinion, in short, is that Thanksgiving foods are largely overrated, and there's a reason why we don't eat most of them more than 1 or 2 days per year. Sides, give me mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, and dinner rolls. If you'll notice, none of those 3 are specific to Thanksgiving, so I'm not a green bean casserole guy, I'm not a stuffing guy, I'm not a pumpkin anything guy. Give me the turkey and ham, and then those sides I mentioned, and I'm good.
Cornbread dressing is elite. So is rice dressing. But I'm Cajun, so.
More for others. That's a good thing about doing Thanksgiving with me, is I'll leave all that.
Do you like dirty rice?
Yeah.
That's rice dressing.
Okay. I'd probably...
And we eat that all year. I mean, that's not a...
Yeah. I eat mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, and dinner rolls year-round.
Yeah.
I would rather see us... Look, America is the most diverse country in the world.
It's a melting pot.
Texas is one of the most diverse states in that most diverse country in the world.
Yeah.
I would love to... Almost like a 4-year cycle. 1 year you go Tex-Mex spread. 1 year you go barbecue. 1 year you go Italian. 1 year you go Chinese food.
I think people like the historic nature of Thanksgiving, and you tell the story of the first Thanksgiving.
But we could do that with different and better foods.
Oh, I'm not the turkey guy. I'm not going to complain. I don't care what you serve me as long as I'm with my family, because that's what matters to me, Kyle.
I'm just saying that there's other, like, especially Chinese food. You could go pot stickers, you could go chicken, you could go beef. You could have different kinds of noodles. You could have rice. Certainly a lot of vegetables in the mix. Now, I don't know about, like, desserts and stuff. Maybe you still incorporate some of your traditional desserts.
Pumpkin pie, I think, is Chinese. It's got 5 spice in it.
Anyway, I'm also not a pie guy. I can't eat pecans. I'm allergic. I don't like pumpkin flavored anything.
You're allergic to tree nuts?
Yeah. I don't do walnuts, pecans.
What about bofa nuts?
A chicken pot pie? Yeah, all day long.
You're a big pot pie guy.
I like chicken pot pie. I like turkey pot pie.
What if you did a turkey pot pie and then maybe a side or two?
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the Thanksgiving ingredients you could throw into a pot pie and it'd be pretty good.
It would be great.
So...
Just use the turkey gravy and...
Here's another thing I do like about Thanksgiving. It's probably a way in which I enjoy the food that's different than how other people might enjoy it. But after Thanksgiving, you've got about 3 or 4 days worth of turkey or ham sliders.
Yep.
Just on reheat. And so...
Did you say that? What? I mean, everybody does that.
I didn't know if everybody did that.
Oh, yeah. That Thanksgiving sandwiches?
Is that what they're called?
I mean...
Thanksgiving sandwich?
Leftover sandwich.
Yeah.
Everybody does that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you remember the Moist Maker in Friends?
No, I'm
Not
not
a
familiar
Friends
with
guy?
that show. No.
They dip the middle piece of bread in gravy.
Okay.
What's the uniform combination prediction? He already said black, red, black.
He didn't specify though.
He did not.
I hope it's throwback black, red, black. I'm not going to get my hopes up because it's probably not, but that would be sweet.
Have they done a red throwback?
No. Yeah, well, white, red, white, but they have not done red with black yet for the throwbacks.
Watched the game against Creighton. We lost. Didn't watch against Louisville. We demolished. Am I no longer allowed to watch the game?
Who is that?
Big hint.
Ooh. If it was like Maddie, I was going to say, yeah, stay away, but I
Ain't no
want
curses.
I want Big Hen to be able to watch the game. Yeah, ain't no curses.
Kind of a shot at Maddie.
Well, yeah, that's okay. I mean, I already cut him on
That's true.
a previous episode.
Now, this is an interesting question that I'll just let you answer however you want to. How long do you all see this coaching staff staying together?
I hope I'm not being naive. The football coaching staff?
I'm assuming.
There's pretty much, do you know what is that term? You know, I'm a big bell curve guy.
Yeah. There's no way all 11 stay, but let's just call it the top 3.
There's also something in stats where there's like 2 bell curves. And like the example that's always cited is the bell curve for people who cheated on the test. Like their average score is going to be different. And then the bell curve for people who didn't cheat on the test. I kind of view it that way with coaches. Either they're here for a short time because they suck and they get fired, or they're here for a short time because they audition for 3 years and they get promoted to a different job, or they stay for like 10 years. I feel like there's very few in the middle that stay 6 or 7. It's either 3 or 4 or 8 to 10. So
It feels like the bell curve would be 3, but they suck. 10, 3, but they're good.
no, it's 2 separate bell curves.
I know, but it also seems like the bell curve could be that.
No, it's not how that works.
Sure.
I hope I'm not being naive, but it does seem sincere. I mean, Joey in his opening press conference said, "I will die at Texas Tech."
Yeah.
And Tommy Tuberville, a day before taking the Auburn job, said, "They're going to have to carry me out of here in a pine box," and he left. But I do not think this staff, if they do a good job in year 3, year 4, will take the quote-unquote promotion to a bigger name program. I think they're here for the long haul. And I don't think they'll fail and get fired after year 3 or year 4. So
Who would hire Joey away? Is there another school that could outpay?
A&M, don't you think they would love that?
Oh, they would love him, and Texas would love him eventually, I'm sure, if he wins at Texas Tech. But is McGuire Tadlock? Is he in West Texas where he wants to be? And College Station and Austin just aren't his speed. He would rather be in West Texas or the Metroplex.
I think it would have to be a program that recruits Texas really heavily.
Yeah.
That is clearly a rung or two above Texas Tech, like an Oklahoma, an LSU, an A&M, a Texas. Like he's not going to leave for Baylor or Oklahoma State or Colorado, or even I don't think like a Nebraska with the state that they're in.
I think Tim DeRuyter is
Here's a question
finally
for
in
you.
a place that he can settle down.
When is the last time a Texas Tech head football coach got hired away to a quote-unquote better job?
David McWilliams.
40 years ago?
Yeah.
35 years ago?
We've done this before. People always call us the stepping stone job. Joey wouldn't be the one to leave. Kitley.
Tubbs left for Cincinnati.
Right. Yeah.
The others we either fired or they retired.
Right. Kitley would be the first to leave, I think. He has the most opportunity to grow into either a head coaching job or whatever else. Tim DeRuyter has done the head coaching thing. I don't think he would leave for a head coaching job. He might scratch that itch again. I don't know. But I would say you could certainly have this coaching staff for 3 or 4 years. And then I hope Zach Kitley gets an opportunity. How about that? Because I want to be that successful where somebody's given him like Incarnate Word or somebody's given him a head coaching job. Houston Baptist wants him back. to run their program if that's what Zach Kitley wants to do.
Yeah, and honestly, if I were Zach Kitley, I would not see the appeal in going to try to grind it out at a job like that because that is a grind.
Yeah.
Versus just staying as a coordinator at a Power 5. Because Power 5 coordinators get hired to be head coaches all the time.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to go do it at the FCS Group of 5 level before a Power 5 school will hire you.
No, and he's very young. So.
Yeah.
Joey has passed Matt Wells already in getting to a bowl game in his first year and beating 2 Big 12 teams in a row. What other ways has Joey beaten Matt Wells in just one season recruiting? For one.
Recruiting.
Matt Wells loses to Houston, Texas, and Iowa State this season. I don't know.
Texas and Iowa State, yeah, for sure.
In what other ways has Joey surpassed Matt Wells in year one?
Recruiting, community buy-in. I don't think you have a lot of these facilities momentum, the NIL Matador Club momentum with Matt Wells in year 4. It would be stale and those people would be on the sidelines. Instead, they see the vision that McGuire has and they feed off his energy. And so all these ways, I think, are tangible ways that you've improved the program by making the switch from Matt Wells to Joey McGuire.
Keith Patterson went 7-4 at ACU this year, played in the WAC championship game and beat Sam Houston State in year 1. Would Keith Patterson have fared better as head coach at Texas Tech over Matt Wells? Who's his defensive coordinator?
Had he ever been a head coach?
Tech improved more with Keith Patterson than with Yost and Cumbie.
Keith Patterson was 1-0 at Texas Tech as head coach.
Yes, he was against Kansas, 16-13.
Matt Wells got COVID.
Yeah. I hope that Keith Patterson would have a different recruiting strategy.
Could it have been worse?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, the recruiting strategy?
Yeah.
No. No, I the coaching could have been worse. I mean, that's like a famous last word, but it was pretty bad. Yes, I like Keith Patterson more than Matt Wells. I always did. I loved Keith Patterson at Texas Tech, and I would have kept Keith Patterson in some worlds.
I liked both your coordinators last year.
Yes.
I thought most games, TCU was a disaster, Texas was a disaster.
Right.
OU out-talented you. Besides that,
in every game,
Cumbie and Patterson seemed like a pretty good duo. If you had the right CEO doing the recruiting and delegating, they could have been very successful here, I think.
Yeah, that trio would have been very successful long term.
Like if Joey had just kept those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like DeRuyter, and I don't think I ever got this thought out, but DeRuyter is finally at a place where he can set down some roots, but he's been a fast mover. He's kind of a guy that moves on a lot. But he was at Cal for a good stretch. And I think Texas Tech is a place that DeRuyter fits really well and could stay. And as a defensive coordinator, it's not a high bar here. People are very happy with him this year, and he's doing just what Patterson did the last 2 years.
Yeah.
30 points a game.
And I think and hope he would see the potential in McGuire and Blanchard and Nance's recruiting chops.
Yes.
With his track record, he's coached Von Miller. Tyree Wilson's about to be a top 20 pick.
Kayvon Thibodeau.
And that's only one.
Several defenders through Cal.
That's only one position on the field.
Right.
But I would have to think that they make a pretty formidable duo saying, like, McGuire can get you in the door with any coach in this state.
Yeah.
And then you can go sell them on Von Miller, Kayvon Thibodeau, and soon-to-be Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
And again, that's one position, but you can sell that to a defensive tackle. You can sell that to a linebacker. Say, we develop and find the best. Come play for us.
Did we talk about this on Sunday? No, we didn't because he said it Monday. Reggie Pearson.
Dog.
Back. Rabbit back. Weston Wright back. Allegedly. No, he was weighing it.
Yeah, he was going to.
But just those two safeties is huge.
Yeah, so I think Don Williams had an article about this. Muddy is for sure gone. He has no eligibility left.
Right.
Krishawn Merriweather and Tyree Wilson, of course. Mm-hmm. The ones that are really going to make or break. Here's a fun prop bet for you. Rashad Williams, Malik Dunlap, your 2 starting corners, and your 2 starting interior defensive linemen, Jalen Hutchings and Tony Bradford. They're all, it seems like, on the fence, guys. They could come back for the right opportunity. They could leave for the right opportunity. Over under 2.5 from that 4. We'll be back in Lubbock next season.
I really think both of those defensive linemen come back. And if I was Malik Dunlap, I would come back. So, just because I hope it happens, I'm going to say over.
I think I agree with you. I don't think any of them, I think they would all be fringe NFL, like camp invite guys.
Yeah.
And with NIL, you could say, hey, young man, come back and make another $25,000, get your MBA, continue to develop. And it's a totally different ballgame with an Eric Ezukama, who you said, like, dude, go get paid. You're a third rounder, go get paid.
Capitalize on what you did.
If you're a camp invite guy this year, your stock can only go up, really. I mean, unless you get a really devastating injury, God forbid.
Right.
I think some of those guys have the NFL measurables or, fringe. The corners have really good measurables.
Rayshad, I think, is he, because he's a year older. Well, I guess he's the same age as Dunlap. Dunlap just jumps so much from one system to the next. Just think about year 2 in this system. It seems like he really fits.
That'd be a huge, if you get both, or even one of those defensive line back. Mm-hmm. You have Philip Bleedy, they've been a great 3-man rotation to kind of keep them fresh. Gambling Gauchos athlete, Philip Bleedy. If at least 2 from that trio, Bleedy, Hutchings, Bradford, are back, that's a good start. Joseph Adedere looks like a dog.
Go Raiders!
The buttons are right next to each other.
Sorry.
If you get at least one of the corners back, that's a good starting point. Adrian Fry is gone. He's out of eligibility, so maybe Kobe Minor. So it's really only a kind of
Jalen Peoples or a freshman.
It's really only kind of a daunting scenario if you lose both corners, both defensive linemen. Then you kind of start to feel a little bit thin.
Well, and I thought you were going to lose either Reggie or Rabbit, too.
Yeah.
Both of those back is a surprise to me, which is really good. And the more these guys that come back as seniors and COVID seniors and juniors even that have an opportunity at the NFL, that's all culture. Mm-hmm. To wanting to come back. And that's proof that they think it's changing and they want to be part of the change and they want to be part of the big season here at Texas Tech.
There's also just seemingly some precedent there. Guys like Colin Schooler, Rico Jeffers, choosing to use the extra year. So I know it's a decision that these guys have to weigh. And like Eli Howard, back when he was here, I think there was a couple times where he was like, do I just want to be done with football or keep playing? And he kept playing. So
that's the Lubbock culture. It's beyond a coach.
So I hope you have, because that's, I don't want to minimize the losses of Tyree Wilson, Krishawn Merriweather, and I'm blanking on the third one I named just a minute ago. Waters.
Muddy.
But if you return both of your starting corners, both your starting safeties, and your 2 interior defensive linemen, that is a great starting point for next year. Because there have been years where you're turning over way more than that, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Well, and Jacob Rodriguez is back. One of the linebacker spots, I'm sure he will grow into a starter.
Josiah Pierre.
He's been playing a lot. Josiah Pierre, who he's got to be up there now, huh? Is he going to be a senior next year?
He came here, I think, with 4 years to play 3, or maybe 4 to play 4. Maybe he just redshirted at Florida.
He had redshirted at Florida.
So he might still have at least a year, maybe 2.
2, yeah. So that's awesome. And he has really come on, man. I've been really impressed with him. Compared to other schools in the conference, let's say in the last 10 years, how bad do you rank the Matt Wells hire? And then he says higher or lower than Neil Brown. And he spelled it Kneel.
Insightful question submitted to us on the Discord mailbag, which you can be a part of, patreon.com/gamblinggauchos. Trying to think of a worser hire. I said worser again. One of them batter hires out of all the hire today done made. A worse hire in the Big 12. TCU has only hired one guy in the last quarter century.
Looks pretty good.
Same with Oklahoma State.
It looks pretty good.
OU fans will probably tell you that Vegetables has taken their program back more steps than Wells took your program.
Baylor's had hit on all their hires.
Iowa State can't complain. Yeah, it's probably Wells,
Gene
Neil.
Chizik.
Yeah, how long was the window for us to?
Well, it just said it doesn't give a window.
I'll say since like the new round robin Big 12.
Neil Brown was the worst.
Chizik was before that. So Neil Brown, Matt Wells, Burnt Vegetables are all. I guess Charlie Strong. Yeah. I like him personally, but
that was a bad hire.
Like at least Tom Herman, he won a Sugar Bowl. He played in a Big 12 championship game.
I thought they fired Tom Herman too quick. They fired him because they didn't want to sing the song, and it was 2020, and everything was going crazy.
And they had Sarkeesian just waiting in the wings.
Oh, man.
And anytime you can hire a guy who's 36 and 24, you got to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of the bad ones for sure.
Neil Brown sucks. Oh, Les Miles.
Matt Wells 3-0 versus Neil Brown. So I guess maybe he's a rung above him.
Les Miles, he was 1-1 against.
He was 0-1. Keith Patterson beat
1-1.
Les Miles. No.
But they beat him before he got fired.
Before we fired Wells?
Yeah.
That was Leipold year 1.
That was Leipold year
Matt
1.
Wells did not beat Les Miles.
Oh my God.
And you can be like, well, he would have if not for that COVID. You won that game by like 3 points.
Yeah, 16-13.
I'm being serious. Like, it's kind of funny, but maybe Keith Patterson's coaching chops won you that game versus the alternative. I don't know.
Maybe so. That's it.
Okay, let's make some picks then.
Okay. You want me to pull those up too?
Yeah. It's getting late. Arizona putting it on San Diego State. I think Arizona and Creighton is going to be a really good championship game. We'll see how it goes, but there's a good chance you ran into the best team in Maui game 1. Nothing to hang your head about.
And Ohio State tomorrow. Is this the first half? 33 points, 3 minutes left in the first half. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 33-19.
All right, let's start in Austin. P.S. Baylor, Texas. You don't
I hate that
like
song.
Blake Shelton?
Not that song.
Call him out.
I'm more of a fan of
so
chew
red.
tobacco, chew tobacco, chew
Oh
tobacco,
my God.
spit.
That's the worst Blake Shelton song of all time.
It's better than Austin.
What about Old Red? No, it's not. Austin is a banger, dude. I'll sing it anytime it comes on.
Okay, my honest Blake Shelton take is that the beginning was really bad. The latter years were really bad. In between there, like 08,
Oh, the early.
08 to 2011 was
He
okay.
lost his magic when he cut his mullet. What's your favorite Tim McGraw era?
Ooh. I think he's been good in across eras.
Yeah.
I like the early stuff,
Yeah, the
Barbecue stain.
on my white t-shirt.
but even like, felt good on my lips. That
Killing
was
me in that
15 years
miniskirt.
later.
Yeah.
Don't Take the Girl. That'll tug at your heartstrings.
Don't take the... Well, I'm sure. Yeah, with you. You have a daughter?
Yeah, but
I don't have a daughter.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying. But
it's not. Yeah,
at the end of it...
the end of it is when his wife is having complications giving birth, which my family
Well,
did
you
not
have
have.
a wife.
Yeah,
I don't have a
but
wife either.
thankfully,
I'm just saying that song wouldn't tug at my heartstrings. As much
sure it
as-
would. It ought to tug at anyone's heartstrings.
No, I don't. Nah.
You're not a sensitive Red Raider then.
What about... I'm a psychopath, probably. What about the bull named Fu Manchu?
Yeah, that's a good.
What's that? Of course. What's the title of that song? On a bull named Fu Manchu.
I know the song. What's the name of the song though?
I went skydiving.
Rocky Mountain Climbing.
Rocky Mountain Climbing.
What's the name of that song though? Hang on, quit singing it for a second. Let me think.
7 seconds on a bull down.
Oh, it's probably called "Live Like You Were Dying."
I was almost there.
It's probably the name of the song.
Yeah.
What's the
Live
Barbecue Stain
Like-
song though? Because I thought it was called Barbecue Stain, but I don't think that's what
No, I
it
don't
is.
think that's right. Got
Killing
a
me in that
barbecue
mini
stain
skirt.
on my t-shirt. What are we?
Heart Don't Forget.
A moment like this.
Something like that. Moment Like This is a different song.
Heart don't
Some
forget.
people.
Wait a lifetime.
That's not a Tim McGraw song. Tim McGraw is married to Faith Hill.
Yeah. Tim McCraw was in.
What's your favorite Faith Hill
Blindside.
song?
I have no idea.
Mississippi Girl?
Uh,
Mississippi Girl, Don't Change Your Ways, just because
Sound-
everybody knows her name.
What's the? I feel like a woman.
That's Shania
Oh, that's
Twain.
Shania Twain.
First woman I ever had a crush on, by the way.
Shania Twain. Mine was Allie Lauder. If you know, you know.
I think Faith Hill is Breathe. I can feel you breathe, watching over me.
I don't know any. So what's the one about the sun? The sun drops. I can feel the sun.
Teardrops on my guitar.
No, that's not it. That's
Raindrop. Drop top.
No, that's not Taylor Swift.
That's not. Sun Drops.
Something about the sun. I can feel the sun on my face or something.
Oh, the Lone Star song?
Amazed?
I'm the sunshine in your hair.
No, it's
I'm the shadow on the ground.
It's either Shania Twain or Faith Hill.
I'm the whisper in the wind.
And people say that George Strait is
I'm
the
your
best of all time.
imaginary friend.
That's a great song.
And I'll be there till the end. All right, what other random country
Joe
musicians? Do what?
Joe Diffie?
I don't know Joe Diffie.
He's a John Deere man. You like the song Snake Farm?
Yeah, I know a band called Snake Farm.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
just sounds nasty.
So Snake Farm, the band.
Snake Farm.
You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this.
I bet I will.
So my stepdad's friends have a band called Snake Farm. It's a bunch of like 60-year-old guys in Plano. They go to like the local like Applebee's and not Applebee's, but like restaurants like that, and they'll play out on the patio.
Oh my God.
They refuse to play. What's the song they won't play? They won't play Tom Sawyer by Rush. I don't know. It's a cool song.
Me. Da, 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 da.
Were we still in the mailbag? Or we were making picks.
Yeah.
Texas versus Baylor.
I'm gonna be honest. I had a Primo Vibes gummy before you came over because I thought we
Okay.
weren't gonna have a long episode.
Here's the situation. We were going to do Texas Baylor. You didn't even tell me what the spread was because you started singing about Austin.
P.S.
And
This
that was
is
the rabbit
Austin.
trail, yeah.
All right.
What's the spread?
No free
What are you
ads.
pointing?
No, I had a Primo Vibe earlier. I was just gonna say if you order Primo Vibes at primovibes.com, you can use the promo code KKM. They're great, dude.
A lot of Primo
That's all
vibes in the Cardinal Sports Center studio
Great
tonight.
vibes today. After you were so aggressive last week, it's kind of nice to know you're my friend again. Baylor, Texas. Baylor, 8.5 point dog on the road against Texas.
Yeah, give me the plus 8.5.
Really?
Really.
I took this.
And if not, then Dave Aranda, sub 500 in the Big 12 through 3 years.
Well, he can
Something to monitor.
cover and still be that.
Well, if they don't cover,
Oh, against the spread.
yeah.
Sub 500 against the spread.
No. If they don't cover, if they lose by 9 or more,
Right.
then they will have for sure lost straight up. And he'll be below 500 straight up in Big 12 play through 3 years.
Right.
Despite everybody wanting to, and I quote Dennis Green, crown his ass.
But they could cover and still be all that.
But I said if they don't, then Dave Aranda will be below 500.
You see what he does?
I just said the same thing that I told you the first time.
Right, but I wasn't correcting you.
I know
I
you
was
weren't.
just adding on, and then you were correcting me. Even though
No, I'm
you
just
didn't
saying
need
if
to.
they don't cover, then they obviously didn't win.
Right.
So he'll be below 500 in Big 12 play through 3 years. He is who we thought he was.
I took Texas at -4.5. I think Texas will win the game.
Well, aren't you sharp?
I did not think it would go. I even think this might have even been a look-ahead line that I took last week or 2 weeks ago.
Hopefully Texas wins by 6, and we both
That would be
cha-ching.
awesome. 56 total.
Over.
I have not done the pick'em yet. Remind me to do that before you leave.
We didn't do it the last 2 weeks.
No, we did it last week. I did.
Okay. I didn't see it.
We might not have posted it, but I did it and sent it to you. West Virginia, Oklahoma State.
What's the spread?
-8.5 again.
I always pick the ears, and Oklahoma State's been so bad down the stretch. Give me the ears, plus 8.5.
In Stillwater.
Who cares?
They're pretty striking road and away.
They've not been good for the last month. They've been bad.
West Virginia?
Oklahoma State.
No, West Virginia's pretty striking home and away.
Okay.
When they're on the road.
Oh, yeah. Oklahoma State's been really bad.
I'm doubling down on West Virginia. +8. I think we agree there. Total 64?
Under. Oklahoma State can't score.
Yeah, it's going to be way under. And surely Spencer Sanders doesn't play again. He might.
I don't know.
The usage rate on him against Oklahoma was insane. After he couldn't play but a quarter against Iowa State.
I think it's a Keenan Evans situation where they can give him a shot in the arm, quite literally, but it wears off.
I think Spencer Sanders was choosing to sit out and then inserted himself back in. Iowa State at TCU. This line is settled at +10.
What's the Cyclones' money line?
+285.
Let's ride.
In Fort Worth. You think so?
Let's ride. We're about to find out if Matt Campbell's got a 5-star culture. One team motivated to make the college football playoff. The other team, absolutely nothing to play for other than ruining their season. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put it past them.
I would take TCU to cover. And I have not been on that bandwagon for most of the season. I've tried to fade TCU at every turn, so maybe this will jinx them. Kansas at Kansas State. This is the Sunflower Showdown.
Cats.
I was really trying to figure out what to say there. -12.
Cats.
Wildcats -12. Total at 62.5.
Under.
You know what I'm betting.
Kansas' opponent and the over.
Hell yeah. Texas Tech, Oklahoma, +2. Texas Tech at home. Total is 64.5. I will start this one. I'll take Texas Tech. I think they'll win the game. I think this is a very tight total. I'm going to go close game, 34-28. And it's 27-28, fourth quarter, and Taj Brooks scores, and they have to review it, and they call it confirmed. Just like Torian Henderson.
I'll say Texas Tech wins. I'm a believer in the momentum both within this season and of the program generally, and I think you're finally going to check these boxes that we were talking about. First winning conference record, all that good stuff. I'm a believer. I don't know what the game will look like. I think you just find a way to win at this point.
Yeah, and it's really hard to peg, huh? Because on one hand, just run the damn ball. But on a bunch of other hands, you know, what does Tyler Shuck do well? What is this defense susceptible to? What are your guys doing? You got to figure all that out.
Do you want to say a bunch of stuff we're thankful for before we wrap up?
I don't know if we have to do a bunch, but we can certainly do that.
Well, it's a season of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Do you have them written down?
Got a few.
Okay. We didn't prepare for this.
Hopefully, off the top of your head, you can think of some stuff that you're thankful for.
Yeah.
I am thankful for the Parlay Picadors. It was back in, May, off-season, a little bit bored, not really sure what we were doing next with the podcast. I was like, dude, what if we start a Patreon? And you were like, yeah, what would we do? I was like, I don't know. Like, we'll figure out the perks later. And I think your dad was the first Parlay Picador.
Tyler was.
Okay.
In the Discord, and then my dad was second.
We had like 4 subscribers for a while there, and then kind of picked up. I remember when it really felt alive was the Big 12 baseball tournament.
Yes. Well, we got the Discord rocking.
Yeah. Because I think we had the Patreon for a little bit before the Discord.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's grown into a really fun online community, but also offline. I've gotten to meet a lot of them, and some of them that I knew before, get to know them a little bit better when they come to Lubbock for game day weekends, and it's just a lot of fun. And not to get all sappy and crap, but like people, get married, have kids.
Right.
In the 6 months we've been doing the Discord. And it's like fun. It's like you feel like you know these people and they're your friends. And so we didn't have that 6 years ago, even though we had the podcast up and running for close to a year. So it's been a lot of fun. Maybe it's not for everybody, but if you do want to join and be a part of that, patreon.com/gamblinggauchos. It's $5 a month. A lot of perks.
I love how you can. I'm thankful that you can work an ad read into everything.
Yeah, it felt like I got really insincere at the end there because it
That's
turned
all right.
into an ad read, but I meant what I said.
Yeah.
And then a portion of proceeds go back to the Matador Club to support our student athletes. On that note, full transparency. When we make the donation, I always put in the note that this is from the Parlay Picadors, listeners of the Gambling Gauchos podcast. But they need like a billing address, and so I put my info.
Right. Sure.
And so they sent me a little gift. They sent me a ball cap and a sticker, which I wish I could share with the 90.
You didn't even tell me we got that. Just kept that yourself.
Well, it came in the mail like yesterday.
Oh, okay. What was the hat? It was a Matador Club hat?
Yeah,
or
like a
Tech hat?
Matador Club hat. I wish I could split it several different ways. I'll probably just keep it, though, if that's cool with everybody.
I mean, one of us is the hat guy, but...
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, no, it should
no,
be your hat of the day. No, I insist. In fact, I'll re-gift it as your Christmas present this year.
I don't want it.
Just wait a month. It's all yours.
All right.
All right, well, now you have to say something you're thankful for.
Are you hiding your notes over
Yeah,
there?
you can't look at my answers.
I don't want your answers. I do want to echo some of the sentiments there, the Parlay Picadors, but just the audience as a whole. There's a lot of stuff that we do that is quote unquote engagement baiting or making listicles or baiting people on Twitter with a little bit of harmless trash talk, and the other fan bases mostly play along so well. And it's just a really cool audience and group that we've cultivated and that have, grown with us. And Kansas State fans, Iowa State fans, very few Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas fans, but even the TCU guys, the Lupton Beers guys, and just the broad audience I'm very thankful for, because, there are a lot of times I don't want to do this anymore as far as my day job, but Gambling Gauchos is really up to my passion again, and you're a big part of that too, Kyle.
I think Rob just said he was thankful for me. Did everybody get that?
I am.
Well, I'm thankful for you too as my co-host, and that's spelled CEAUX/HEAUXST.
A lot of vowels there.
The co-host. We told the story before, but it was funny. Like when we started reaching out to sponsors trying to monetize the podcast, they're like, "So how long have you guys known each other?" And we're like, 3 months. So it has been cool that, because you never know how things are going to go when you just slide into a stranger's DMs.
Right.
But I feel like episode 1 we had chemistry, which I knew we would based on how we both tweeted. I was like, me and this guy are simpatico. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You all right over there? You got some West Texas in your eye?
Yeah.
I'll echo that too. That I'm thankful for the camaraderie with other content creators and fans, both of Texas Tech and other schools. Like it doesn't always have to be. There's a certain segment of fan. It's like hyper defensive. They think anything they see on Twitter is trash talk, and I'm like, I really don't have anything bad to say about Kansas State, Iowa State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor.
Yeah, but guys like Cyclone Larry just make it fun.
Yeah. So and there's people like that across Big 12 Twitter.
Even Kyle Umlang.
There's a certain side of him that we got to see that others may not. And look, it all boils down to like, how seriously do you take Twitter?
Yeah.
And if you hate read Kyle Umlang's tweets, then yeah, it'll probably piss you off. If
Are you saying it's not that serious?
Yeah. If you read a tweet about Dana Beers and you take it seriously, maybe just take it less seriously.
Yeah.
No, like there's a fine line, because sometimes we will tweet like actual data and like
it's just facts though.
serious analysis. But there's also other times you're just goofing around on Twitter and it's not that deep.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for our sponsors.
Very thankful. Day one and the new ones.
Because you and I starting off, we're two idiots just talking ball, which is fun. And then as it grew, thanks to our audience and our followers, it became more of a platform where you can promote stuff. And we try to promote good things. We've done, Matador Club. We tried to promote buying school supplies for teachers and also promoting local businesses, small businesses. And so it's been fun to have businesses kind of buy in and hopefully think highly of us and the platform. And we, of course, think highly of them and want to support them in what they're doing. And so I'm thankful and grateful for all current and past and future. Our email address is gamblinggauchos@gmail.com.
Did it again.
Sponsors. I can turn any serious, sincere sentiment into a cheap ad read, like a used car salesman.
It doesn't matter if it's the free sponsors that were with us just so we sounded cool in the first couple of episodes. Sponsors that are not around anymore.
It's like, wait, you guys are getting paid for this?
Yeah. Shout out to Senior Chubbies and Curbside Car Wash.
Curbside Car Wash, yeah.
Friend of mine. You really should call Gabe, though. He's good. But it's not the times that you talk sports with friends. It's really the memories you make along the way, huh?
What if the real gambling gauchos was the friends we made along the way?
Isn't that a Blackbeard quote? It's not all the villages we pillaged and
Yeah, I'm not sure on
booty
that.
we secured. The real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. What else are you thankful for?
Joey McGuire.
Ditto.
This podcast trajectory really goes in line with Texas Tech football because our first major episode was us calling for Matt Will's head, and then he was fired the next day. And then we had the whole Joey McGuire, hire McGuire thing. That was our first big social media push.
It's really funny to look back on that. It felt like we were blowing up during hashtag hire McGuire.
Yeah.
But if you look at the analytics from that month versus now, it's like, did anybody even know that we were tweeting about Joey McGuire?
Yeah. Probably not. But we were having fun.
If a tree falls in the forest,
Do you have anything else?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty thankful guy.
I'm thankful for your family that allows you to miss so much time and come do all these episodes.
Yeah, honestly, pretty insane volume of content.
And listen to us.
During football season. You and I do 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
GAD is usually 30 to 45 minutes. But these drone on, and it's my fault. It's like, we just did an hour and 45 minutes.
Pretty equal.
Because Kyle was telling stories about his high school football coach. Hour 45?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you. I got a good sense for
It's
this.
really an hour 50, but I don't remember how long we had it on before we started streaming.
And so, yeah, it is. This is funny.
We were also singing country music for about 10 minutes.
When we started the podcast, I knew that my wife was with child, but it was at the stage where I wasn't allowed to tell anybody.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm about to start this podcast with this guy. Like, he's going to be throwing a curveball, 6 or 7 months into this. And, usually we always make it work. Like, put her down for bed, and then I come over to record the podcast or whatever. But, yes, I am very thankful that my wife allows us not to do, like, 1 episode a week, but 3 a week.
Right.
And, communicate with people on Discord and publish articles on Patreon.
She drops a couple of hammers in there, too.
Yeah, she's like the silent assassin. She'll lurk until just the right moment on Discord, and then
I don't know that's a great.
It's fine.
So, never mind.
So yeah, thankful for that as well. And my mother-in-law is like probably our most loyal listener. I think she's probably listened to every single episode, which even
awesome.
I have not done.
That's awesome. I have not either.
How often do you listen to our podcast?
I don't.
I do sometimes just for feedback. Like when we first started, I was like, man, I say every other word.
Yeah.
Texas Tech will
that bad.
win. I'm sure I still suck at it sometimes, but I think I've gotten better.
I also do 15 hours of live radio, so I don't need to listen to my voice any more than I already do.
Right. I also like to listen to
17
interviews
hours.
over again because a lot of time during interviews,
I have listened to interviews, yes.
I'm thinking about the next question or like a follow-up, and I learn more when I re-listen to the interview.
Yeah, sometimes I'll go back on patreon.com/gamblinggauchos to listen to some of those great.
Okay, that one was your fault.
Dusty Womble.
I'm thankful for all the people that have joined us as guests, especially early on.
Yeah.
Because I think now, not to
I mean, BJ, 600 followers maybe when he...
Yeah.
Before we even started the podcast, I actually reached out to... People don't know this. I reached out to BJ as being like a third host and joining us way more often. We worked kind of a... I don't think I actually ever asked him that. We talked
Friend of
about
the show
asking him that.
type arrangement.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's one thing, and I don't want to minimize at all the guests we have currently.
Oh, no.
But if we reach out to, let's say, like some beat writer at a local newspaper to get some insight on the next opponent we're playing, they go, oh, these guys have 13,000 Twitter followers. They're probably legit. They have an audience. I'll do it. But we had like a little NCAA record holder, BJ Simmons.
Yeah.
When our logo on Twitter was Rob's Memoji. BJ's probably like, who the hell are the Gambling Gauchos? What is that?
And now, me and BJ he'd been on the Rob Bro show.
Okay.
So we had some
Okay, yeah.
standing
No,
there.
you had your ties.
But still, Dallas Braden was real early.
Jeff Goodman.
Jeff Goodman bit on the bait.
As a joke. So, I mean, Jeff Goodman, we just DM'd him, and he was like, yeah, sure, I'll come on your podcast. We're like, oh, okay. And then you tweeted as a joke, who should we get next? And somebody was like, Dallas Braden, and they tagged him.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, right. And he responds, and we're like, oh, okay. And so we
All right,
DM him, we're
yeah.
like, do you want to come on our podcast? He goes, yeah.
Has he ever answered us?
No. Should we quadruple text him?
Well, we need to ask him if he wants to come on again.
We definitely will.
That'd be good to catch up with.
Yeah.
But Sonny Cumby,
Yeah.
something I never talked to you about on the Sonny Cumby interview, just kind of a funny thing. I've talked to Sonny Cumby before, but really just like either in a press conference or like I'd never interviewed him one-on-one. And when we opened that interview, he was like, yeah, it's great to talk to you guys again. And I was like, well, again, I don't know if it's again.
Sonny Cumby must have read and mastered Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
So good. He is so good. We were old friends, man.
If I was a 3-star prospect, I would probably go play for Sonny Cumby. He would win me over,
Yeah.
and my mom over, and my mom's over. She'd be like, "You need to go play for that guy."
Yeah.
He's going to be really successful as a head coach.
I don't know if he's in the greatest spot, but sometimes you just got to take the job, and I think he can turn that around.
So yeah, he in that interview, you're right. He had never met me before, had never talked to him, but he pretends like I'm some old friend.
Yeah,
Hey man,
it was
good to catch
awesome.
up with you again. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It made you feel good.
Yeah. So yeah, having guests like that really, in some ways, we probably don't or didn't deserve their time at the time when we interviewed them. It's pretty cool when they will, come on and share some insight with us.
Yeah,
So
and a lot of that is they're also
thankful for that too.
childhood heroes. I grew up a Sonny
I know.
Cumby, BJ Simmons fan.
Yeah.
We talked to Mickey Peters way early.
Yeah.
He was maybe our second guest, Mickey
Probably
Peters.
so. Yeah.
Even guys like
Norin
Sodiase, Keenan Ward, where
more recent.
we're older now, but it's also amazing watching those guys play and then connecting on a different level. So
Yeah, because those two were students when I was a student, and so I was like going to the games to cheer on
yeah,
my peers, like age wise. Like those guys theoretically could have been in my math class or whatever. Certainly
I was
not.
already gone.
Certainly not my peers athletically.
well, you're in a sub 540.
Almost. Yeah. And I'm thankful for the latest addition to the Gambling Gauchos, Ryan Mainville,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't say it's a heavy lift for us. We enjoy what we do, but it's a lot of content to get out there. He knows basketball better than you and I do, and so we've always been impressed with him as a content creator and as a person with a lot of valuable insight, and so we were honored that he wanted to be part of the team, and that's just getting rolling. What's up?
Speaking of rolling, I'm also very thankful for Phase 3 that I think is going to be really, really cool for a lot of reasons. And we can't exactly tell you right now what it is, but very soon we'll be able to. Would you say, do you have a date on that? Do we want to say the date that we're going to release that?
I'm not sure of an exact date, but I think we're going to be able to stake our claim soon.
Yeah. It's just, we're living on the plains of
We'll get it all out there in
Texas.
plain sight.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, final thoughts?
Happy Thanksgiving to all the Gauchos listeners. Thank you to our sponsors. Hope everybody has safe travels if you're going across the state or across the country to be with friends and family, enjoy your holiday. Love y'all.
It was Labor Day weekend, I was 17. I bought a Coke and some gasoline, and I drove out to the county fair. When I saw her for the first time, she was standing there in the ticket line, and it all started right then and there. Oh, say the sky made a perfect sunset, and that's a day I'll never forget. I had a barbecue stain on my white t-shirt. She was killing me in that mini skirt, skipping rocks on the river by the river.